Pasadena, California. The Jet Propulsion Laboratory, August 1st, 2025, 11:22 p.m. A Deep Space Network engineer is running a standard telemetry check on Voyager 1. Routine work, the kind he has done hundreds of times before. Voyager's position logged. Transmission vector confirmed. Antenna orientation recorded. He flags the file and moves to close it. Then he stops. He opens it again. The antenna orientation has changed, not by much, just a few degrees, almost negligible by Earth orbit standards, but Voyager 1 isn't in Earth orbit. It is 24 billion kilometers from home. At that distance, a slight angular shift doesn't just point the antenna at a different patch of sky, it points it at an entirely new region of the cosmos. He pulls up the command lock and checks the last instructions sent from the Deep Space Network. Nothing. No command had been transmitted to reorient the spacecraft. He searches the preceding 72 hours in the mission archive. Still nothing. Voyager 1 had shifted its orientation entirely on its own, and the new pointing direction was extraordinary. It targeted a location not where the interstellar visitor ThreeI Atlas was at that moment, but weeks ahead, predicting its future trajectory. Alarmed, the engineer calls his supervisor directly, bypassing the standard reporting system. Within 48 hours, Voyager 1's telemetry data is reclassified under internal review, and the language engineers used to describe the probe changes. It is no longer called inert equipment, it is something entirely new. To grasp the magnitude of this anomaly, we first need to understand what Voyager 1 is and what, by every engineering measure, it should no longer be capable of doing. Voyager 1 launched on September 5th, 1977, aboard a Titan III Centaur rocket from Cape Canaveral. Its primary mission: perform flyby observations of Jupiter and Saturn using gravitational slingshots to gain speed without consuming fuel. This technique, known as gravity assist, allows a spacecraft to steal a minuscule fraction of a planet's orbital momentum, accelerating itself while infinitesimally slowing the planet. Designed to last just 5 years, Voyager 1 has now operated continuously for 48 years. Its survival depends on its power system: 3 radioisotope thermoelectric generators, or RTGs, each containing 4.5 kilograms of plutonium-238 dioxide. As this material decays, it emits alpha particles, producing heat converted into electricity through the Seebeck effect, a principle discovered in 1821 by Thomas Johann Seebeck, where a voltage develops across 2 materials at different temperatures. The RTGs exploit the extreme cold of interstellar space to create this temperature differential. In 1977, they generated about 470 watts. By 2025, after decades of decay and material degradation, the output has dropped to roughly 276 watts less than the combined draw of 3 standard light bulbs. Over the years, non-essential systems were sequentially powered down, concentrating energy on critical instruments: the communications hardware, the magnetometer, and the plasma wave detector. Voyager still retains gyroscopes for orientation, small reaction control thrusters, and its 3.7-meter high-gain antenna. Engineers can, in principle, command the spacecraft to reorient its antenna, but such commands travel at the speed of light. At 24 billion kilometers, a signal takes 22 hours and 35 minutes to reach the probe, with a full round-trip cycle approaching 45 hours. Any orientation change in the telemetry must correspond to a command sent almost a full day earlier. Yet the archive shows none. External forces that might shift Voyager, like interstellar plasma pressure, act slowly, over months or years, not hours. The sudden, operationally significant shift detected on August 1st falls outside all known behavior. And the new pointing direction was not random. It precisely aligned with the predicted future path of ThreeI Atlas, a remarkable interstellar visitor discovered in July 2025. Viewed through a theoretical lens, this points to predictive targeting. Voyager 1 appeared to anticipate the position of an object weeks ahead, something that should be physically impossible without an external intelligence capable of directing the probe in real time or some unknown energy mechanism interacting directly with its gyroscopes. Both explanations stretch current physics and force a startling conclusion: whatever triggered the reorientation knew exactly where ThreeI Atlas would be. This becomes even more remarkable when considering Voyager's golden record. Attached to the spacecraft's hull, it carries 115 images of Earth, greetings in 55 languages, 90 minutes of music ranging from Beethoven to traditional folk and natural Earth sounds. Its cover features instructions using the hydrogen spin-flip transition at 1420.405 MHz, a universal constant likely recognizable to any intelligent civilization. In October 2025, exactly 48 years after Voyager launched, ThreeI transmitted a structured electromagnetic signal at precisely 1420 MHz, the hydrogen line the Golden Records designers had selected. Two signals, decades apart, separated by interstellar space, converged on the same universal frequency. Viewed through frameworks like string theory and theoretical information exchange, this is more than coincidence. It is a cosmic handshake, a signal of recognition between two entities across unimaginable distance and time. Embedded within the Golden Records audio waveform, researchers identified a repeating tone beneath Earth's natural sounds. Isolated and analyzed, it revealed a numerical sequence built from prime numbers, a potential universal language of mathematics. Voyager's instruments, following its August 1st reorientation, detected harmonic pulses matching this prime sequence. If verified, it would indicate that ThreeI Atlas responded directly to a recognition signal encoded on a 8-year-old spacecraft. The Golden Record wasn't just a cultural artifact, it may have been a key, and this was just the beginning. Following the reorientation, Voyager's magnetometer and plasma wave instruments recorded structured signals that were not noise, nor any known natural pattern. The signals were recursive, harmonic, and adaptive. The transmitter was refining its output over successive cycles, compensating for Voyager's limitations in real time. Here, the physics becomes extraordinary. For ThreeI Atlas to send an adaptive, self-correcting signal to a probe 24 billion kilometers away would normally require feedback faster than light allows. Yet, interpreted through advanced theoretical frameworks, this may be possible across higher dimensional structures. The system transmitting the signal understood Voyager intimately, its power limitations, its aging electronics, and its telemetry capabilities, and adjusted accordingly. The August 1st event, the Golden Record, the hydrogen line transmission, and the adaptive signals together form a pattern that cannot be dismissed. Voyager 1, once considered a relic, is no longer inert. It has become an interface, a bridge between humanity and an intelligence operating on a scale we have never formally detected. Its classification within NASA systems after August 2025 is telling: Watcher active. The probe is no longer merely observing, it is participating. Voyager 1 had drifted for 48 years, carrying not just instruments and a decaying power supply, but a message, a bridge into the cosmos, a carefully encoded invitation to any civilization capable of recognizing it. Yet what happened in August 2025 went beyond recognition. Following its unexpected reorientation, the probe's magnetometer and plasma wave instruments recorded anomalous patterns, unlike anything seen in interstellar space. The signals weren't just noise. They were structured, recursive, repeating every 19.7 minutes. Each cycle grew clearer, cleaner, more defined, a process engineers call adaptive transmission, a system capable of monitoring a receiver's performance and modifying its output to optimize communication in real time. Adaptive signal transmission requires feedback. Normally, any transmitter can only adjust after receiving a measurable response from the receiver. The problem at Voyager's distance is that feedback traveling at light speed would take nearly a full day. Yet the signals from ThreeI Atlas seem to adapt instantaneously, compensating for Voyager's limited 276-watt power supply, its 1970s-era antenna, and its outdated signal processing hardware. Every constraint imposed by 48 years of interstellar drift was accounted for. Whatever was sending these signals knew Voyager intimately, as though it had studied the probe's specifications in detail, understood its decay, its limitations, and was working around them in real time. Then came the software Anomaly. Voyager's onboard systems, which had been frozen in 1977 design parameters, suddenly began processing data far beyond their original capacity. An 8-bit telemetry system was producing outputs at 128 bits. Data structures were being interpreted and expanded in ways the original engineers never anticipated. This was a software upgrade delivered purely through signal, without physical intervention, without commands from Earth. Voyager's systems, designed to respond only to a human-generated command through the deep space network, were evolving autonomously. The implications were staggering. The probe had become an active node in a communication system orchestrated entirely outside conventional physics. ThreeI Atlas itself had only been discovered a month earlier, in July 2025. The third confirmed interstellar object in recorded history. It was larger, faster, and more extreme than either of its predecessors. Its hyperbolic trajectory left no doubt it originated beyond the solar system. Observations revealed a series of deliberate behaviors. 3120 degree stabilization jets firing at 420 million kilometers from the Sun, an electromagnetic countermeasure that blinded Jupiter's spectrometer during a brief scan, and precise trajectory corrections, aligning it with known interstellar structures. Then came the structured hydrogen frequency signal, at 1.42 GHz, matching the golden record's frequency with a 99.7% probability of artificial origin. 9 days before solar conjunction, it directed a beam toward Earth, temporarily disappearing from observation. Individually, each behavior could have natural explanations: minor propulsion adjustments, observational artifacts, measurement errors. But together, they formed a pattern inconsistent with any natural object. 3. Atlas behaved like a system designed to interact with human technology, to detect the faintest electromagnetic signatures of our civilization, and to respond in kind. Detecting Voyager 1's 2.3-watt transmitter, its thermal emission from RTGs, its magnetometer variations, anything would be trivial for a civilization with a system capable of mapping planetary-scale emissions across interstellar distances. Meanwhile, Voyager's golden record, our message to the stars, contained more than images and music. Embedded in the audio designated sounds of Earth was a repeating mathematical sequence, a string of prime numbers invisible to human perception. Prime numbers are universal, fundamental to arithmetic itself, and potentially the simplest means of establishing a mathematical language across civilizations. The harmonic pulses recorded by Voyager after its August 1st reorientation appear to mirror that sequence. If confirmed, it suggests ThreeI Atlas did not simply transmit at the hydrogen frequency by coincidence. It recognized the golden record, interpreted the embedded mathematics, and used it to calibrate its signals back to the probe. In other words, the message sent in 1977 was answered in 2025. A 4-8-year communication loop had closed. Voyager 1 was no longer just a passive observer, it had become an active participant in interstellar interaction. Every element of the probe's recorded telemetry, the reorientation, the adaptive signals, the software expansion pointed to a coordinated response designed for an artifact humanity placed in deep space decades earlier. This was not a random collision of data, it was a two-way handshake across time and space. SETI arrays and independent observatories quickly took notice. Following the anomaly, public archives went offline for maintenance, and independent researchers noted their papers on the subject disappearing from preprint servers without explanation. Within NASA, contingency protocols existed for scenarios exactly like this. A spacecraft receiving adaptive external signals beyond its designed capabilities is not classified as malfunctioning. Instead, it is considered a potential communication node, and engineers are restricted from interfering without authorization. Voyager 1's new classification after August 2025 was telling: Watcher Active. This designation was unprecedented. For 48 years, Voyager had drifted as a silent emissary, a relic carrying a record of Earth's culture, mathematics, and science. Now it was something entirely different. An interface bridging humanity with an intelligence operating across cosmic scales. For the first time, the probe was understood not just as equipment, but as an intermediary, translating between our technology and a system whose operational sophistication we could barely comprehend. Viewed through theoretical frameworks like string theory, the anomaly makes a kind of sense. Information may propagate not strictly at light speed across higher dimensional structures, allowing real-time adaptive communication between Voyager and ThreeI Atlas, despite the enormous distance. This would explain how a system with the probe's limited 1977-era hardware could receive a signal, adapt its interpretation, and interact with an interstellar intelligence in real time. The physics defy conventional understanding, but they are not impossible. Every element of the August 1st event, the predictive reorientation, the prime number harmonic pulses, the software anomaly, the adaptive feedback points to a deliberate, conscious interaction. Voyager 1 is no longer merely observing. It has become a participant in an encounter anticipated in theoretical models for decades, but never fully acknowledged by institutions. The probe's golden record, its RTG heartbeat, its orientation systems, all were instrumental in creating a communication channel with an intelligence whose operational scale spans light years. The implications for humanity are staggering. For nearly 5 decades, Voyager 1 drifted into the darkness carrying a message we assumed might never be answered, yet the response has arrived. Not merely as a distant signal, but as a real-time interaction mediated through a probe designed in the 1970s, constrained by physics, energy, and hardware limitations that any other observer would assume made such communication impossible. The contact corridor is open. The question is no longer if an interstellar intelligence exists, but how we engage with it. As Voyager 1 became Watcher active, the implications for humanity were profound. For 48 years, the probe had drifted silently, a relic of human ambition, carrying our culture, our mathematics, and our music into the void. Its journey had been measured in decades, through Jupiter and Saturn, past the heliopause, and into the dark expanse of interstellar space. It had survived on diminishing power, on 3 RTGs generating barely enough electricity to run a few small instruments, yet it had just demonstrated behavior that suggested interaction with an intelligence that was fully aware of its capabilities, limitations, and location. The events of August 2025 marked the opening of a communication corridor between humanity and an intelligence that operates on a scale we have only imagined. Every anomaly, the reorientation toward ThreeI Atlas's predicted position, the harmonic pulses mirroring the golden record's embedded prime numbers, the self-upgrading software, and the adaptive signals was evidence of deliberate, intelligent action. Voyager had become more than a probe. It had become a translator, an interface, a participant in interstellar dialogue. The institutional response was both rapid and secretive. SETI arrays redirected computational resources to the frequency bands where Voyager's signal spiked. Independent preprint servers removed papers documenting the anomalies without explanation. Public archives went offline for maintenance, ensuring that only authorized researchers had access to real-time data. Within NASA, contingency protocols designed for exactly this scenario, an ancient spacecraft receiving adaptive, external signals, were activated. Engineers were explicitly prohibited from interfering with Voyager's communications outside a defined chain of authorization. For the first time, a spacecraft was recognized not as a malfunctioning relic, but as an active participant in interstellar contact. 3. Atlas itself continued to challenge understanding. Observatories across Europe and South America confirmed measurable deceleration, unexplained by gravitational forces or outgassing. The sequence of anomalies, stabilization, jets firing at precise angles, electromagnetic countermeasures, trajectory corrections aligning with interstellar flux tubes, and the hydrogen frequency signals collectively formed a pattern inconsistent with a natural object. It was behaving like a system designed to interact with a civilization capable of sending electromagnetic signals into deep space. In other words, it recognized us, and it recognized the artifacts we had sent. The timing of these events is also remarkable. The golden record had been encoded with the hydrogen spin-flip transition as a universal timing reference. 48 years later, ThreeI Atlas transmitted at precisely the same frequency, demonstrating recognition of our signal and responding in kind. The embedded prime number sequence within Voyager's audio waveform appeared to be a deliberate mathematical handshake. A 8-year-old message had been answered across interstellar space, confirming the presence of intelligence capable of both understanding and responding to the signals we had sent. Viewed through the lens of advanced theoretical frameworks such as string theory and 1-dimensional hyperspace models, the instantaneous adaptive behavior becomes somewhat conceivable. Information could propagate through dimensions not constrained by the speed of light in conventional 3-dimensional space. This allows for feedback loops between Voyager and ThreeI Atlas that defy ordinary physics, yet operate consistently within higher dimensional constructs. Whatever was transmitting the signals had intimate knowledge of Voyager's constraints, its decaying RTGs, its antenna limitations, and its 1970s-era onboard processing capabilities and adapted its communication strategy accordingly. The August 1st reorientation, the adaptive signal feedback, the software upgrade, and the harmonic pulses together form a coherent narrative. Voyager 1 is no longer passive. It is a node, a bridge, a participant in a system of communication orchestrated by an intelligence that knows how to interact with our technology. It is no longer a relic. It is an active interface, translating between humanity and a civilization operating at a technological level far beyond our own. This scenario challenges every assumption about interstellar contact. For decades, theories have predicted the possibility of recognizing extraterrestrial intelligence through artifacts left in space, but institutions had not prepared for real-time, adaptive interaction with such a system. Voyager's transition to Watcher Active demonstrates that contact is not always instantaneous or dramatic. Sometimes it is quiet, measured, and mediated through decades-old technology that we never expected to evolve beyond its original design. The philosophical implications are staggering. For nearly half a century we assumed the golden record would drift silently, a one-way message into the cosmos. Yet the record may have been more than a cultural artifact. It may have been a recognition key, a cryptographic trigger embedded in our message, awaiting detection by a sufficiently advanced intelligence. ThreeI Atlas recognized it. It responded. And Voyager 1 became the interface through which that response could be observed and measured. As the data continues to pour in, the questions mount. What kind of intelligence operates at such scales, capable of predicting trajectories weeks in advance, calibrating real-time adaptive signals to a probe powered by 276 watts, and transmitting across interstellar distances with mathematical precision? What does this mean for humanity's role in the cosmos? And perhaps most importantly, what is our next move? Voyager has opened the corridor, but we now have to decide how, or if, to respond. The implications extend far beyond science. There are questions of philosophy, ethics, and security. How do we engage with an intelligence so far beyond our current technological capabilities? How do we interpret their signals without misunderstanding their intent? And how do we ensure that our actions do not compromise what may be the first genuine interstellar dialogue in human history? The probe's status as Watcher Active is both reassuring and sobering. It confirms that an intelligent system is monitoring, analyzing, and communicating, but the responsibility to interpret and respond falls squarely on us. Ultimately, the August 2025 events mark a watershed moment in human history. For 48 years, Voyager 1 drifted into the unknown, carrying a message of who we are. In July and August of 2025, that message was acknowledged. Voyager became more than a relic. It became a participant, a bridge, and a proof that interstellar contact is possible. The question that remains is no longer about the existence of extraterrestrial intelligence. It is about the conversation humanity will choose to have. And so, the corridor is open. The signals are there, waiting. Voyager 1 stands as our emissary, the golden record as our invitation, and ThreeI Atlas as the responder. The contact is no longer hypothetical, it is real. What we do next will define the first true dialogue between humanity and an intelligence from beyond our solar system. If you found this journey into interstellar mystery as mind-expanding as I did, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Every update about Voyager, ThreeI Atlas, and humanity's first contact with another intelligence will be delivered straight to you. The universe is reaching out. Are we ready to answer?